Good morning. This is Tim and Julie Harris, and this is the Harris Real Estate University Superstar Interview. So if you're new to the Harris Real Estate University, this is something we do every Friday for you in addition to your normally scheduled classes. Now, if you're someone who has attended frequently, been listening to our interviews the past few years, you'll know that these interviews consist of a mixture of interviews with top-producing realtors. Just recently, we've been interviewing a lot of agents that are selling literally hundreds of short sales per year. We also will interview economists. I'm going to get Jeff Nelson from our Harris Real Estate University honorary economist. He's going to do an interview with us sometime in December. He's going to talk about inflation. Other times we'll interview top-producing loan officers. We've interviewed some folks that are famous authors. Really, anyone and everyone that Julie and I think is going to be very impactful on your lives, we will expose those to you, and we will get those folks to agree, frankly, to have a completely and 100% transparent interview with us. In other words, no questions are out of bounds. And you know, if you've listened to some of our interviews in the past, when we're interviewing top-producing realtors who have a tendency to avoid questions about money and net, and Julie, we can hear you, you know that we always get those questions answered for you. So today's superstar interview is going to take the opposite direction because we're focusing specifically just on you. We're focusing on what you can do now to make money in a very specific how-to plan and how you can generate 10 closings in the next 90 days, maybe even 60 days. So this is going to be a detailed plan. This plan is going to require that you take action. This plan is going to require that you intensely focus for the next, I'd say, half hour to 45 minutes as Julie and I roll it out to you. We know it works because guess what? When we were selling real estate, we used to use this plan ourselves. So, Julie, anything you want to add to that before we jump right in?
No, and I like your opening points because this is serious stuff, guys. We are absolutely interested and enthusiastic, and I hope all of you guys are. I hope that we are not more excited about your business than you are this time of year, so don't fall into that trap. I think we should jump into those opening points to make that really clear, Tim.
Absolutely. All right, so good. I'm reading all the comments that are coming in the webinar. Good morning, Tim. Raphael, if you have any questions or comments, email me directly, tim@harrisrealestateuniversity.com, and we'll certainly help you. Bob Oakes, welcome to the call from Seal Beach, and all the rest of you that are jumping on right now. So, guys, get ready to take notes. This is not a fluff call, and we're really going to, frankly, give you a very specific, tight plan. But I want all of you to make a commitment to me right now. Okay, so before we get started, before we really get into the details, I want every single one of you to make one commitment. It might grow to two commitments, but for now, let's just call it one commitment. And the one commitment is you're not going to mentally, emotionally take the next 60 to 90 days off. That's the one commitment I want out of all of you, whether you're an enrolled Harris Real Estate University student or not. You're not going to take the next 60 to 90 days off because if you do, not only are you going to take it off emotionally, not only are you going to take it off physically, I know some of you are already doing that. You're already kicking back. You're already thinking, well, the year's gone. I'll just wait till next year.
Working towards the end of the Halloween candy.
That's right, exactly. You're just thinking about turkey now and Christmas presents or whatever else, and you've stopped focusing on your real estate business. And I'm telling you right now, if you do that, you are making a huge mistake that could cost you your entire real estate career. Sounds dramatic, but it is, because getting restarted in the spring, as a lot of you think is normal, is going to be nearly impossible next spring. So you guys tune into Harris Real Estate University because you know we're going to give you the truth. You know we don't have any hidden agendas and we don't have any sacred cows. And as we've been saying now for well over a year, and we're going to say it again right now, please be clear about this. We are entering into the worst part of the real estate correction. We're entering into the part of the real estate correction where people, frankly, lose hope for any sort of quick rebound. Remember a few years ago when prices initially started to drop, people thought, it'll just be temporary. So there's a little bit of optimism there. Remember when President Obama got elected and then all of a sudden there was all these new helping homeowner programs? There was a little optimism that was sprinkled into the real estate market. Do you remember when there was the first-time home buyer credit and all these other little programs that came out that were temporarily impactful on the real estate industry? Those created temporary, I'll give you that, optimism. Those gave us, a lot of realtors, reasons to feel hopeful and optimistic. We were able to motivate buyers based on these various, programs that were being rolled out and incentives for buying a home. And then, of course, there was the low interest rates. And then, of course, there was you guys get the idea. All of those programs, with the exception of the low interest rates, are gone. And there's no political will to bring those programs back. So what we're entering into now is we are entering into a new phase of the housing correction. This truly is a housing depression called acceptance. And acceptance is not exciting. Acceptance is folks waking up to the reality that they're in underwater homes and the homes are not going to rebound in value for who knows how long, a long, long time. Acceptance that the real estate market on a national level, given, there's some micro markets that are doing okay, but on a national level, real estate as an investment vehicle, real estate as essentially a safe store of wealth, that is something of the past. Acceptance in our real estate industry, frankly, that there isn't going to be a bounce back and that this short sale REO, BPO dominated industry is going to remain that way for some time to come. Guys, you get the point? Going into spring of next year, we're also dealing with all the headwinds of the economy. So there were some headlines that came out this past week that I hope all of you tuned into, and I'll just sort of summarize them for you. The real estate the Great Depression lasted between 1929 and 1933 from an economist perspective, right? So during that time, homes lost an average of 25.9% in their value. Right now, in the country, our modern-day housing depression, homes have lost 25%, and every major economist is now expecting that the amount of national depreciation for homes is going to be more severe than even the Great Depression. So did you guys get that? So historically, you're living through a depression, a housing depression, whether or not it's overall economy. I'm not an economist, but housing depression to be sure. And that is going to be more severe than even the Great Depression. Not necessarily something to be proud of, but an interesting perspective nonetheless. In addition to that, guys, we have every reason to believe that the number of underwater homeowners is going to increase dramatically. We're seeing the number of underwater homeowners. Obviously, we saw it go from the subprime crisis, and we saw it to go from the hardship people, the true hardships, people that basically lost jobs. And now we're seeing what has happened is the strategic default movement is in full swing. Remember I said no sacred cows, and I realized saying those words coming out of my mouth will certainly ban Julie and I from many national real estate conferences and halls because the real estate industry doesn't want realtors talking about or acknowledging strategics. But the fact is we have to. I'm not saying we go out there and advocate them. I'm not saying we go out there and run billboards and ads saying underwater in your home, list it with me and I'll get rid of it for you. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm telling you guys, and you already know this to be true, is homeowners, underwater owners, they're already doing it. They don't need
You guys know because you call us every week and ask us, what do I do about this one? I think it's strategic.
Yeah, they don't need your permission. They're not waiting for
They're there.
They're going to do it anyway. So our industry is probably, I'm guessing, a year or two behind the new reality that owners are going to be doing what Julie and I are calling strategic liquidations, right? You can call it whatever you want to. They're basically making the financial decision to get rid of their underwater home. We're not advocating and we're not suggesting you advocate it. We're just saying that you develop the skills required to service those owners through this time, okay? Now, beyond that, guys, the opportunity going forward is clearly going to be with short sales, REOs, and BPOs. Your homeowners who are have equity, the homeowners who have the ability to essentially walk away with a check, they're the ones that have the true distress, if you ask me, because they're seeing their nest egg, they're seeing their asset essentially erode in value as the neighboring homes devalue. You guys get the point, right? I'm painting a kind of bleak picture for you, which is not what you typically hear from some sort of quote-unquote real estate guru, which, by the way, Julie and I hate that term, but that aside the point. The fact is that if you don't have this information, if you aren't mentally and emotionally prepared, financially, you will be devastated, and we don't want to see any of that happen to any of you, whether you're an enrolled student or not. So that is my rant to start this call. Hopefully I seeded through some of the biggest skeptics on the call, and now we're going to give you the specific plan. Write this plan down, and again, we guarantee you that this plan will generate 10 closings for you in the next 60 to 90 days if you do it exactly the way we tell you to do it. Okay, so this is a foolproof plan. Julie, ready to get rolling?
Yep, I'm ready. So let's start out with the tough love part. Number one, do exactly what we coach you to do on this call.
This is basically, these are the rules for the plan. This is what Julie's rolling out to you now. These are the rules. You have to follow these rules.
That's
so
right.
Rule number one, go ahead.
Do exactly what we coach you to do on this call. And we're recording this call. We're doing it live right now, but we're recording it so you can go back and listen so that you're sure you're clear. Number 2, do exactly what we tell you when we tell you to do it. Now means now, and get it done before the end of December. This is not one of those get ready to get started to someday maybe possibly think about putting it into action if the planets are in alignment. Now is now.
And you're not going to think about it. You're not going to procrastinate it. You're not going to study it. You're just going to do it, and it has to be done in roughly the next 45 to 60 days. Go ahead.
It's a very simple plan, and it doesn't cost you anything. All right, number 3, don't skip any steps or wimp out on any of the details. Don't think an email is the same as a call. It's not. It's not the same as a card. A handwritten card isn't the same as a churned-out mass mailing or mass emailing. Okay, so don't try and make everything all efficient in the sake of getting it over with. It's not the same. Number 4, related to number 3, don't be lazy. And number 5, do not quit until you have generated 10 sales. Not 10 leads, 10 closable sales. That means 10 pendings.
So, again, this is going to require effort. And I'm going to reiterate point number 4, don't be lazy. Now, we can talk forever about why you don't feel comfortable doing some of the things that we ask you to do. We can talk forever about, how you need to develop this skill set and how this is harder for you and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? For the next
We're not going to.
Because here's the bottom line. The only way you move your business forward is if you take action. And for those of you who have been trying to figure out little shortcuts to the things we've been asking you to do, in other words, when we tell you to pick up the phone and make a phone call, and you say, I'll send an email, you're being lazy. Lazy is a word that people don't like to hear. Lazy is a word that a lot of people get offended by when they hear because they want to come up with some sort of more, justified reason for not doing it. I think it's more efficient if I send an email. I can communicate with 100 people in the same amount of time it takes to communicate with one. Yes, dramatically less effectively, okay, with vastly fewer results. Exactly. Do not shortcut, do not game, stay focused, take action, and guys, benefit from the rewards that you'll get from doing this. All right, so I'm going to get started. Ready, Julie?
Yep.
You guys have the 5 rules. Now I want you to write down 4 numbers. Those of you who are listening to the daily motivational messages, some of this will sound familiar. I want you to write down 4 numbers. Ready? Here they go. Please take notes, guys. Take this seriously. The 4 numbers are 60, 100, 1.7, and 10. Julie, can you repeat those again?
That's right. The first number is 60, 60. Second number is 100. The third number is 1.7. And the fourth number is 10.
All right, good. So here's what the numbers represent. And Krista, yes, this is a live call, and we're not answering your emails because we're presenting right now. We will in a second, so be patient. All right, so the 4 numbers again, 60, 100, 1.7, and 10. All right, now here's what the numbers represent. 60, that represents roughly the number of days you have left to get this project done, to get this assignment done. 60 days to complete this challenge, or you're going to be voted off your own island, right? In the next 60 days, here's the second number, we want you to make 100 contacts, and those 100 contacts, and I'm going to define contact, I'm going to repeat all this in a second. A contact is a conversation with a decision-making adult.
About real estate.
About real estate. Thank you, Julie. So the 2 contacts must be made in 2 forms, written and called. In other words, you're going to contact all these people through a handwritten note and a phone call. 1.7 is the next number. It's 1.7 contacts per day. Now, this is not accurate, perfectly accurate. It's, you guys can do the math on this. Don't sweat it. Analytical types, put your calculators away. Just trust me that I know my math's not perfect, but the bottom line is you have to be making between 1 and 2 contacts. That's
real contact.
That's a phone call, not an email, or a smoke signal, every day. If you don't make the required number of contacts during the week, that means you have to call Saturday morning. I'm only asking you to speak with between 1 and 2 people a day. Hopefully that's not a strain for anyone. That will result in 10. 10 was the last number. 10 sales. We're going to give you the plan now. So here are the numbers again. It's really important you get this clear in your head because this is the essence of the plan. There are roughly 60 days remaining between now and when you have to get this challenge completed. Your goal is to make at least 100 contacts in 2 forms. Every single contact is going to be, you're going to send a handwritten letter to and you're going to call them. That means you have to contact between 1 and 2, approximately 1.7 folks, verbally call them a day. And if you don't make the required number of contacts during the week, you have to call Saturday morning. We're going to give you some tips on that in a second. We can guarantee you that will generate a minimum of 10 sales. Now, how do we know that it'll generate 10 sales? Here's how we know. I'm going to give you guys all the reasons, and Julie and I are going to brainstorm, and Julie, this isn't in our notes. Number one, it's because nobody else is contacting anybody right now. No other realtors are contacting their past clients' centers of influence right now. They've all mentally and emotionally, for the most part, taken the rest of the year off. You know it's true. If you want proof, go to your office and count the cars in your parking lot. How many of your offices go to, quote-unquote, holiday hours this time of year? So that means most real estate professionals are essentially taking the rest of the year off. That's perfect for you because you're not going to. Julie, what's another reason?
Well, the personal contact, think about how special it makes you feel when someone actually takes the time to handwrite a personalized note to you, a thank you card, a personal outgoing phone call. I mean, it's almost, in a way, it's good that everybody else is trying to communicate by text and email and all these passive little things, because that makes you different when you actually reach out. One of the things we used to do every Thanksgiving, the weekend before Thanksgiving, we made a list of 20 of our best past clients, centers of influence, people that sent us referrals. We'd take them a bottle of wine, knock on their door.
Saturday morning.
Personal contact, knock on their door Saturday before Thanksgiving. We had a little gift for them, a Thanksgiving card. We were just thinking about your family. People just absolutely fell over themselves with, I can't believe you remembered me. They invited us into their house. They were past clients. They showed us all the cool stuff they had done to their house. It was great. Yes, it took 2 full days to deliver all 30 or so bottles of wine to them. But, man, we hear about that to this day.
That's right. And
make yourself different.
And yet, and Saturday morning, they were all in their pajamas.
All in their OSU garb.
That's right. We were in Ohio, right? So the fact is, guys, is this does work only when you take action. This is a plan that will generate a minimum of 10 sales for you. And we've prescribed all of our graduate coaching students. These are the guys that are personally coached by Julie or I or one of our other graduate coaches. They've all been using a program and a system very similar to this. We know it works, but you have to work. You have to take action. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And you're going to absolutely be thrilled with the results. All right, so you have the numbers, 60, 100, approximately 1.7, and 10 sales. Now, here's the plan. Write this down. And I'm going to give you some little shortcuts on all of this to save you some money. Handwrite, here's what you're going to be doing by mail. Remember, Julie and I said you're going to be mailing and you're going to be calling.
Not one or the other, but both.
That's right. And we didn't say emailing, did we? Did we say emailing, Julie?
No, I can't recall anything that even remotely sounded like that.
Did we say Facebooking?
No.
Did we say whatever the heck, tweeting?
Smoke signals. No tweeting.
No tweeting. Okay, this is good old-fashioned actually handwriting cards. So we want you to handwrite, and we're going to tell you some places to get them for not a lot of money, handwrite 100 holiday cards. Handwrite a message that is meaningful, a personal experience, a poem. Start with, I was thinking of you. Be personal. Don't just send some sort of generic, it was a great year for me in my real estate business.
Don't make it all about you. Give me a break.
Right, exactly. So make it personal. You can tell them a personal story. You can maybe share with them something you remember from when they were buying or selling a home with you. Sometimes the best thing to do is go and find a short poem that relates to the holidays and handwrite that. I was thinking of you and I came across this poem. You get the idea? Do not use an auto pen. Do not use a handwritten font on your computer. I'm going to say this again. Do not game it. If you have terrible handwriting, and get your
assistant to do it if you have terrible handwriting. Get your cousin. I don't care.
Exactly.
Make it personal.
Exactly.
One of the things you can do is, especially when you're thinking about past clients and your friends, et cetera, because you've got 100 people you got to communicate with here, think about what comes to mind when you think of that person. Did you work with them as a buyer and the reason they bought the house was because it had a beautiful backyard and they couldn't wait to see the leaves change? And, mention that in the card. I was just thinking about you and how gorgeous your backyard must be this time of year. Personalize it. Don't just be generic. There's series of books that are like the art of the handwritten note, and that's one of the major points that book talks about is personalize it. Don't just say, Happy Thanksgiving, Julie. Make it about them. Remember the thing that we have you write on your walls, most of you, okay, which says MMFI, make me feel important. keep that in mind when you're writing these cards.
Perfect. All right, so if you're worried about religious sensitivities, or if you're in an area where whatever your concerns are, just make it Happy Holidays. You can do Happy New Year.
And Thanksgiving is universal, so
you can do Happy Thanksgiving. Exactly. So you're going to be doing now. So for those of you, I know some of you are going to be worried. Well, Tim, I don't have enough time. So let's say right now you start writing cards, and those cards would be Happy Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, you start writing Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, or whatever it is. And then if you are still doing these 100 cards and you think the card's not going to make it to them by Christmas or by Hanukkah or any other religious holiday, then you could start saying Happy New Year. And I am trying my best to eliminate all the normal excuses that I know some of you are accepting for not completing this.
Well, look,
now.
if you did 5 a day for the next 60 days, that's 300 cards, and we're only asking for 100 from you.
We've made this easy. All right, now here's the trick. As far as where to get holiday cards, Google it. Tons and tons and tons of sources will sell you blank holiday cards. Again, I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time, and Julia's as well. Do not, you have to handwrite them.
Yes,
right?
And here's a little tip that I used to like doing. In your local town, your main market, go into a couple of the shops there because you may have some artist personalized, something that's specific to your town. We had old Worthington cards, a painting of New Albany, something like that. Personalize it if you can, but, a lot of cards are on sale right now, so, again, we're not asking you to spend a lot of money here.
And, the other thing that's nice about this is people have gotten away from sending handwritten holiday cards. They send emails. They'll do everything else, but they've gotten lazy with this, and this is the most personal thing you can get. Who do you guys get personal handwritten cards from? You get them from the people you love. You get them from your family and friends. Your insurance guy, he's the one that's just blasting out some blank, stupid message that you just throw out immediately, right? So the people that matter most to you are writing cards like this, which means psychologically when you mail them a handwritten Christmas card or holiday card or New Year's card, you're going to all of a sudden make it into that same, space that they have in their minds.
Their most trusted personal friends.
Okay, good. So I think we've made that point. Now, here's the little trick to making this work. When you write your 100 cards, you're going to be writing approximately 1 to 2 per day. Every single day starting as soon as you get the cards, and you better get these cards today or tomorrow, okay? Be clear on that. Within the same mailing, now here's the little trick that Julie and I discovered when we were selling real estate in the 90s. In the same mailing, I want you to include a gift certificate, and you can come up with a more creative name than this, but it's called a property tax savings certificate, right? Everybody is going to want a property tax savings certificate. All right, now some of you are thinking, okay, Tim, how is that going to look? It can simply be a 8.5 by 11 you split up that you have a local graphic artist person make look nice with saying it's a certificate. You can go to an office supply store and you can buy blank certificates. You can Google for blank certificates, and there's zillions of places that sell them online. Or you can just simply take a nice 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and write on it, and basically type that in as if it was a letter, saying this certificate entitles you to make it sound official, a free property tax valuation for the sake of lowering your property taxes, and blah blah. You can think of the language you're going to put with that, but you get the idea. So here's the whole picture. I'm going to paint it out for you. You're going to be sending them a handwritten holiday card, New Year's card, Thanksgiving card, or whatever. Within the card, there's going to be this gift certificate. This gift certificate is essentially for a CMA or a BPO, same thing. Now what you're going to do after that, and Julie and I are going to be I'm just painting the whole picture for you, is you're going to be calling every single one of them. We're going to give you a script in a second, and then you're going to be following up on your offer to do an evaluation on their home for the sake of lowering their property taxes. Do you guys see now how your calls will be welcome? Do you see how this is going to be something that's going to take you immediately to the next level? This is a crafty, simple, very affordable program that will keep all of you heavily engaged for the next 60 to 90 days, which will immediately generate in you having a higher level of consciousness about real estate transactions, being of service to other people. Are people nicer during the holidays? Heck yes. Will they be happy to hear from you? Will they be thrilled that you're trying to help them save money? Of course.
Yeah, by the way, we used to go on listing appointments all the time where the seller would say, I didn't list with my previous agent because they didn't even bother to send me a Christmas card.
Yeah, that definitely happens.
Okay, so that can't be you, right? You got to be the one that does reach out.
All right, so just to tie all this together to this point, In the next you have roughly 60 days to get this project completed. You need to make 100 contacts in 2 forms. You need to write a card to them, what we just described to you, a holiday card, Thanksgiving card, New Year's card, doesn't matter. And enclosed, there needs to be some sort of property tax savings certificate where it entitles the holder of said certificate to a free CMA, free, mini appraisal for the sake of getting their property taxes lowered. Now, what you're going to do after that, you guys staying with me on this?
Okay, wait, hold the phone for a second. In the card, you're also writing P.S. I'll be calling you to talk to you about helping you lower your property tax.
That's right. So thank you, Julie.
That means they're going to expect your call. That's also a little bit of accountability for you.
That's right. So in the card, thank you, Julie, you're literally going to say, P.S. I'll be calling you shortly to help you get your property taxes lowered. As my gift to you, if you want to say it that way. If some of you are really worried about how people are going to perceive you doing any sort of solicitation, really emphasize the fact that you're trying to help them save money on their property taxes. So let's go down on a side road here, and I'll give you guys lots of reasons why this is a very valid thing to do this time of year. Property taxes are pretty much across the country overassessed. Every single homeowner that you know, unless they've actually gone through, in many cases, very laborious process of getting their property taxes reassessed, it is a huge pain in the butt, and surprise, surprise, for the most part, the cities don't want to lower the taxes because obviously that's where their revenue, one of the sources of their revenue. But home values have fallen across the country, but how many people are still paying property taxes based on the previous value? Have you looked to see what you're paying? Julie and I checked on all of our properties, and every single one of them was overassessed, and by some cases overassessed dramatically, some of the properties we've bought recently in the past 12 months. So we had to go through the same process. And here's how basically the process works in case you've never done this before. And Julie, you've done this zillions of times, so why don't you describe it actually?
Well, it's going to work a little bit different in each and every of your markets. So you're going to call your city assessor or your auditor's office, and you're going to simply ask them, what is your mechanism for reappraising the property? I believe I am paying too much in property taxes. And
they're going to probably, at least this is the way it works in the most part of the country, they're going to probably send you to a website, and on the website there's going to be a downloaded
You download the form.
You download the PDF, and then the PDF then serves as the fill-in-the-blank jobby, and they're also going to ask that you include some sort of BPO, some sort of appraisal, some sort of CMA from a licensed real estate professional. Are you guys putting the pieces together now? So when you call these homeowners, so you've mailed a card, say on Friday today, and then what we want you to do is we want you to call them 2 to 3 days later. Understand, to Julie's point, you did put a PS in there saying that you were going to be calling them, and then follow up with a phone call and ask if they'd like to exercise the gift certificate. And then what you can do is you can handle this one of 2 ways. You can do it for them in terms of filling out the form that's required to have the taxes reassessed. You can email them the form if they want to do it themselves, or you can just do it for them. So what does this do? It puts you in a position where you're talking about what? Real estate with who? 100 of your centers of influence and past clients who already hopefully like you, love you, and want to do business with you, if not send you potential leads. You're putting yourself in a position of being of service because you're helping people save money. You guys see how this is the perfect plan? And if you contact 100 people, if you do this for 100 people, when you do this for 100 people, there is simply no way it won't generate 10 real estate transactions. It is impossible. You're talking about with these folks the exact subjects that many of you become experts on, and that is what? Underwater homes. So you're going to be doing these CMAs, you're going to be doing these, you're filling out these assessment forms for folks, or at least providing the information so they can do it themselves. And naturally and normally through the conversation, they're going to be talking about their underwater home, their underwater rental property, their neighbor who needs to sell, their brother who needs to sell. You don't think by offering this service, by taking a little bit of effort that this project requires, you're not going to generate at least 10 sales? This is a no-brainer. I know, at least. All right, so let's go. Here's some more details on this plan, guys. Hopefully you guys are getting this. Julie, have I forgotten anything again?
Nope, this is good.
All right, so again, call. So we just talked about the mailing. Now call immediately, every day. Call and make contact with a minimum of 2 of your centers of influence, the people you mail to every day. They're expecting your call. They want to hear from you. Why? To help them lower their taxes. When you call, have an email ready to send with all the local tax assessors info. It's, as we said, it's a downloaded PDF, or offer to do it for them. And you have to then send the owner, you're going to have to send, if they want the information to do it themselves, send it to them with your CMA.
Yeah, and guys, some of you are going, I don't have time to do all these CMAs. Not 100% of them are going to take you up on this first, okay? And even if they did, we're not talking about a BPO-type CMA.
That's right.
We're talking about the 6 or 7 most recent sales that establishes value. That's it. It could be a line-item CMA report.
And which, for the most
5
part,
minutes.
Which, for the most part, your MLS will do for you automatically.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, now, ask for business. This is the next part of this plan. Ask for business.
Uh-oh, this is the scary part.
I know. Tell them, you know what, I had to go real quick. Julie, this is funny, but, sometimes when we're talking and you and I are kind of, trying to be a little bit, I don't know what the word would be, but snarky, trying to get under people's skins a little bit with love. So they'll say, if they're talking to me, and because I know some of you are really hard nuts and you guys try to make it so that we're not going to reach you, especially on these webinars. You're somehow saying, this doesn't apply to me, or I know a shortcut, or
I'm different.
Okay, so sometimes Julie and I pour on the snarky a little heavy, but you know what? I worry sometimes that we're offending some of our agents, sell hundreds, if not thousands of homes. But you know what? I know we're not, because they're not doing it either.
No. They're the worst offenders because they're too busy.
Yeah, they've rationalized, I don't need to make this level of contact anymore.
They'll call me.
I'm a top producer. Don't you know I have a double diamond ruby crown? Don't you know I am number one in my market and I have all
more
the
plaques
plaques
than anybody?
Did you see the picture of me and all these other top producers? I am top of my game. They call me. Yes. No, that is how you have your fall from grace. You have to do this personal stuff. You have to do it consistently. That's what real estate in this economy, in this market is all about. That's the reason, guys, that even though Harris Real Estate University literally has tens of thousands of realtors actively participating in a coaching program every single day, we literally are the largest real estate coaching organization in the country. Not bragging, I'm just stating a fact. Julie and I still set aside time every single day to talk to all of you on personal calls through a free coaching call if you need any help. If you email Julie or I, we get back with you directly and personally. Yes, we have staff. Yes, we have big systems. Yes, we have all that, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, our success depends on the level in which we can help move you along in your career at the quickest rate, as does your success in helping your owners solve their real estate problem. This is a personal business, guys. This is providing a service at a high level. Talking about providing a service at a high level, ask for business, getting to some points. Here's some ideas, some conversation starters. Go ahead, Jules.
Okay, so you will want to write all of this down. These are script sentences. They don't have to go in any particular order. These are just talking points. So it's always a good idea for you to start out the call making it all about them. Remember, MMFI, make me feel important, meaning them, okay? So ask them, how are they doing? You can always use the good old-fashioned Ford system. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Those are easy talking points, especially if you know this person works for XYZ Corporation. How are things over at XYZ? What's new? Okay, so you're going to make it all about them. And then towards the end of the call, you're going to use some questions like this. Whom do you know that I should be calling? Who do you know who's having trouble selling their home? Are you or anyone you know thinking about selling? Who do you know has to sell now? All of these questions are appropriate. Don't just jump right into this, okay? You're going to make it all about them, build a little bit of rapport. These calls can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't really care how long they are.
Remember, you're offering to do the CMA for them for the sake of the assessor, and
Absolutely.
These are different things you should integrate. Who do you know who might want to have their property taxes lowered?
When can we get together to talk about lowering your property tax?
Which of your neighbors do you think I should be contacting next to help do the same thing?
Who do you know who needs my help? Keep it simple.
That's right. Guys, just ask those questions. Don't make it about you.
Out.
I'll tell you right now, one of the reasons a lot of you are going to be nervous about doing this is because you have not yet adopted or truly internalized the idea that this business is about being of service. So one of the things you can do to keep everything in check and make these conversations go quickly, efficiently, and actually have some fun doing them is to always make it about the person. What were those that acronym again, Julie?
MMFI, make me feel important. That's what you're supposed to do for them.
That's right. So what you should do is write down on a piece of paper, how can I be of service? How can I help you? Have that being your dominant thought when you're calling these folks, not what can I get out of them? How can I get a listing out of them? I need to get a lead. You need to make it so that all of your energies are focused on specifically how you can be of service to them, and you need to tell them. Yeah. You need to actually say that.
And don't give me this nonsense about, well, I called 10 of them and I don't have a listing yet, so this doesn't work.
That's right.
Give me a break.
You have to
This is supposed to take a while. You are generating relationships, you're tightening relationships, and you're getting referrals.
That's right.
You might not get an immediate listing today when you talk to that many people, but you will in the future because they're going to remember that you made them feel important.
So the key here to make this work is to do it quickly. Do it efficiently. Don't skip any steps.
You'll get better at it as you go.
You will.
It's going to get easier.
Start when you're putting your list together. Start with the folks that you're most familiar with, that are the easiest folks to call. Maybe your neighbors. Start by if you've not actually done any over-the-phone work like this, don't psych yourself out about it. You pick up the phone and you talk with people every single day. There's a little interesting phenomena in nature called reciprocity. It happens in a good way and it happens in a bad way. So here's how this works. Some people call it karma, but we're going to call it reciprocity. You're mailing a card to folks. You're offering to be of service. You're offering to help them lower their property tax assessment. You are creating a nice little imbalance in the equation. The karma equation or the reciprocity equation. You're making it so that they're going to feel psychologically, I don't know what other word to use other than a little bit, I'd say, tied to you. They're going to feel a little bit obligated to you because you've offered to do something for them. Now, it's slightly manipulative. I'll give you that. It is. But who cares? Because at the end of the day, you're helping them save money. At the end of the day, you're providing a service to them that they're going to be grateful for. They will, in exchange for you even offering to be of service to them. They may not even take you up on doing the reassessment. They might not even ever take your phone call. But the fact is that because you put yourself in a position to be of help, you will immediately create an imbalance in the equation, and they will eventually, if not immediately, send you business. You will be top of mind because you tried to be of service to them, because you tried to help them.
Well, and I guarantee you at least a handful are going to say, oh, my gosh, I'm so glad you called. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Exactly.
I didn't know, I was a little bit embarrassed about the situation. I didn't know if you were the right person to talk to. I've been doing this loan mod thing for 8 months. Doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I missed 3 payments.
Julie's bringing up something interesting. I want you guys to have ready. So, again, some of you are going to get excited and motivated to do this project. Many of you will, and many of you will follow through, and many of you will be sending us emails in January and February thanking us for motivating you.
For making you do it.
In November. Yeah, hopefully you're going to all do it. I know you'll all do it. Some of you are going to get motivated to do this, get about probably 25% into the project, and then set it aside. It's going to be yet another incomplete project that's sitting around your home office or your desk. Another thing to remind you that you didn't actually complete something. Don't make this one of those things. But I'm going to help right now. I'm going to help all of you to eliminate and to essentially avoid the potential pitfalls. Some of you are going to get asked questions. The homeowners are going to ask you questions about the market, about interest rates, about property values. Some of them are going to ask you questions about loan mods, as Julie said. They're going to ask you questions about the various Obama program acronyms or whatever else. You have to be prepared. So Julie and I right now, we're going to give you a list of the things that we want you to have at the ready, and so at least you can answer questions if they were to arise in a literate fashion. So first of all, the most obvious one, how's the market? Now, do not say it's a great time to buy or a great time to sell. Notice that the National Association of Realtors isn't even saying that anymore. So don't say it's a great time to buy or sell. Don't say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Don't say any cheeseball stuff like that, because even though, frankly, guys, it's true, I believe it's a great time to buy, and so does Julie, it doesn't matter. The national consciousness is that real estate is just basically a black hole of money losses. And if you all of a sudden try to start being the Pollyanna and start essentially telling them something different than they're hearing everywhere else, they're not going to trust you, okay? So I'm not saying be all doomy and gloomy about real estate, but what I'm saying is don't be, the Mr. It's a great time to buy or sell person. So when they ask you how the real estate market is, you need to have a sensical and a logical answer, and the answer is it depends on your situation, right? And it depends on what you're looking to buy or sell into or out of.
You ask them, tell me more about your situation.
Right. and then exactly flip it to a question. Are you thinking about buying or selling? Or who do you know who's thinking about buying or selling? Or who do you know who's having trouble buying or selling? You don't need to go into some big, long, drawn-out dissertation about the real estate market or your opinion. They don't really care. They're just passing gas. It's just a normal conversation, normal question you ask a real estate person. So have an answer ready. The next thing they're going to ask you about is interest rates. That's easy enough. Go to bankratemonitor.com and have in front of you, print it off, what the interest rates are. They're going to ask you about local comps. So you're going to have the computer open, have your MLS open, and if they ask you about a specific property, pull it up while you're on the phone with them. You know, that's a great way for you to get a conversation started. They might ask you about loan modifications. So let's just be honest about loan modifications, guys. What is it, 70 or 80% of all loan modifications don't work out. Most loan modifications right now are failing because the negative equity is still staying in the properties. We've talked about this extensively on realestateinsidernews.com. Loan modifications have essentially evolved into something that that is merely extending and pretending the reality that these folks are going to need to sell, and unfortunately they're going to have to sell through a short sale or a foreclosure if they are not smart enough to do a short sale because of the negative equity staying on the mortgage loan. Julie, what else might they bring up on these phone calls that we can get our guys prepared for?
I think, the interest rate thing, definitely. Loan modification. The thing with loan mods, just ask them, do you want to keep the house? Because if they don't want to keep the house, the loan mod is not going to save them from a bunch of negative equity.
Do you want to keep the house even though it's upside down? Do you want to keep the house with the negative equity?
Keep asking questions.
Right.
Other things that come up, they may, to Tim's point, they may ask about what you think their house is worth now. Okay.
Right. Well, that's the whole point of calling in the first place.
That's the whole point. Now, some of you are all weird about that, like it's your fault that the house is worth less than what you sold it to them for. Remember, when houses were double what you sold it to them for, that wasn't because of you either. So, you didn't cause it to go up. You didn't cause it to go down. Your job is to be the solution to whatever questions they have about what's happening. So don't be weird about the fact their house is depreciated. It's not your fault.
That's right.
Hopefully you're all clear about that now, but some of you haven't made these calls because you don't know how to address that.
Or again, you're psychologically worried that somehow they're going to blame you for the fact that their home is underwater.
You can say, my house has come down 20% too. I mean, who would have thought, right?
It's not your fault. And in some cases, if you do get 1 out of 100 people that reacts negatively towards you, generally speaking, those are the people that need your help the most. And you can then, because you know how to answer all their questions about their situation, you can then help them through the problem.
Exactly. So, when you have that reaction, like, I don't want to call them because their house is worth less, and, you feel like maybe you promised them that wouldn't happen back in the boom, whatever. When you get that feeling going on, you have crossed over into making it all about you. And you need to get out of that mindset as fast as possible. So write down the sentence, tell me more about your situation.
Ask for referrals.
Fastest way to get out of that.
Exactly. Tell me more about your situation. That's a good point. So write that one down. Ask for referrals. Ask for business. They expect you to ask. If you don't ask, they'll assume you don't want to or can't.
Too busy.
Help them in their situation. If you don't ask, they're going to perceive that you're not a professional. I promise you guys, when you go to the doctor, think of it this way. Do you just go in there and the doctor says, so Bill, how's your golf game? Did you watch the football game last Sunday? Blah, 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 blah. No, he said, what are you here for? What's your problem?
What seems to be the ailment?
What seems to be the ailment? He's asking questions. Professionals ask questions. You must ask. It's your job. Not offering to help in this market is malpractice. Okay, now be ready to answer questions again about loan mods, interest rates, housing stats, neighborhood comps. Have an opinion about real estate in this marketplace. And if you don't have an opinion, or if you're afraid of being honest, because if I were to ask all of you right now, what do you honestly think is happening in real estate? 99% of you would basically say real estate values are dropping, it's going to be a long-term correction, da-da-da-da-da. 2 or 3 of you would say, well, I think there's going to be a fast rebound, and you'd have a different perspective and, all those types of things. But the majority of you who see real estate as something that for the for the next 3 to 5, maybe 10 years is going to be kind of dragging itself back to, 06 values, for those of you who actually perceive it that way, that's how a majority of owners can perceive it. Don't try to essentially spin it a different way. You're going to find that if you're 100% completely honest with your opinions, you're not going to push away or repel business. You're going to attract it because they're going to say, oh, thank God, somebody that not only agrees with me, but somebody that's actually willing to tell the truth and isn't just out trying to sell me something.
Exactly. So if you get stuck, which is what many people fear, on some question that you have no idea, they're asking you about, what the LIBOR rate is. I don't know. It could be anything.
The London Interbank, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if they ask you some crazy question,
you're just going to say, that's a great question. I'm going to get back with you at the answer this evening. And then do it.
And then do it, right. So
that's your out if you get stuck.
So here's the whole, we're going to overview this whole system again. Hopefully you guys are feeling motivated and excited and you see how this is something that everyone can do and it's not going to cost you really any money. All right, so this is called your guaranteed 10 sale and 60 to 90 day plan. So you're going to, the four numbers that we start out at the top, remember, 60 days remaining this year approximately, right? There's 100 contacts that must be made in two forms in the next 60 days. That's written and called. That's approximately, 1.5, 1.7 contacts, conversation with a decision-making adult every single day. If you don't make your contacts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have to make your contacts Saturday morning. By the way, everybody's home Saturday morning. And this will result in at least 10 sales. I'm sure every single one of you can see how this would generate at least 10 sales. By the way, here's a fun thought for you. In your real estate, in your markets, nationally, the average realtor earns less than $40,000 a year. If you thought about that, it's pretty amazing. And they sell less than 10 homes per year. How good would it feel to you if you were going into next year, knowing that you basically already had at least $40,000 earned from the minimal effort that it required for you to actually follow through on this plan?
And furthermore, from people who know, love, and trust you, probably aren't going to fight about your commission, desperately, completely need you, and will be a great source for future referrals. I mean, wouldn't that be your first choice of where your next deals would come from?
We're going to answer your questions, guys, in a second. I see some questions coming in. Handwrite 100 holiday cards. Holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Don't overanalyze it. Mail them a stinking card. But it has to be handwritten. We gave you lots of ideas for that. It could be a poem, but you have to make it personal. And I was thinking of you. You have to start out with something that's personal, something like if you get a card from your best friend, or if you get a card from, somebody who's, it doesn't matter, personal, not some Mickey Mouse, thing that generic that you're just going to throw out. You have to handwrite it. If your handwriting stinks, we talked about different alternatives for that, but it has to be done. Be personal. Okay, happy holidays if you're worried about religious sensitivities. Within the same mailing, we want you to send some form of a gift certificate. It can be an actual certificate. If you can find one, great. Basically where you just fill in the blank. If you can't find one, that's not your excuse not to do it. Just write something out. Type something on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Don't worry about making it overly fancy. Every time I give an idea like this, I just have this vision of someone I'm going to start out doing this, and then they get stuck on the certificate. Don't get stuck on the certificate. It doesn't have to be fancy, okay? And it's going to offer a CMA for the sake of doing tax valuations. Next, you're going to call every single one of them because remember in the card you said P.S. You're going to be calling them.
And you'll call them until you reach them. If they're continually not home at 10 a.m., guess what? They're probably at work. Try them Saturday morning. Try them on a weekday evening.
And you cannot say, I tried to call them, okay? You cannot say you tried. That's not an excuse. You have to call every single day until you make a minimum of 2 contacts a day, every day. If you fail during the week, you have to call Saturday morning. You have to do this. It is not optional for any of you, okay? So they're expecting your call because remember, in the PS you said you'd be calling. And then when you call, obviously you're going to offer to do the CMA and you're going to offer to give them the information or actually provide the service of filling out the form to get their property taxes reassessed. Those forms will require their signatures. So for the most part, all you're going to be doing is sending them the CMA and emailing them a PDF of the form that you've gotten from your local auditor's website. If you don't know where to get the downloaded form, Julie,
call your local auditor's office.
You're like in Columbus,
franklincounty.gov or something like that. Just do a Google search, property tax assessment in Clark County.
Don't email us and ask where.
I'm not going to do it for you.
That's right. You have to do it yourself. Google is easy to use.
Yeah, and in fact, one of your colleagues, Larry, in Littleton, Colorado, says, I'm printing my 100 free property tax valuations as you speak. So Larry's already on top of this.
All right, so ask for business. Thank you, Larry. Tell them that you specialize in helping underwater owners. Tell them that you're enrolled at Harris Real Estate University. Scripts you could use, conversation starters. Remember, you're making it all about them, not about you. Whom do you know that I should be calling? Whom do you know that's having trouble selling their home in this market? Who do you know is who might be interested in purchasing a home now? Are you or anyone else you know of thinking about selling? Who do you know who has to sell now? Be prepared with answers to all the typical questions you get when you're talking with owners. Refi questions, interest rate questions, loan mod questions, market stats. If you don't have an answer for their question, don't essentially fib it. Don't freak out. Just say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me get back with you about that. Julie, what are we forgetting?
All right, so you're going to call absolutely 100% of them. You're going to offer your services. You're going to ask for referrals. So that means 100% of your 100 people have gotten both a card and a phone call. You will call until you find them. Okay?
All right, so Nancy.
So that's basically it. We need to get to some questions here.
That's right. Nancy asks, where do you suggest we get the cards? So you can get holiday cards everywhere and anywhere this time of year.
And they're all on sale right now. Barnes & Noble has some deals. Borders has deals. Office Max sometimes has some good stuff, and you can also get a generic certificate at some of those office supply stores.
Yeah, guys, just Google again.
Look in your local market. If you got a cute little downtown, try and go into some of the little gift shops and see if there's something specific to your market. That's a nice personalized touch.
All right, good. So, Carissa, we're going to answer
Kriya, by the way.
Kriya, sorry.
Kriya, I searched my email, and I have no email
Julie,
for you.
we'll have Rochelle follow up.
But we will contact you, Kriya, in PDX, wherever that is. We'll take care of you.
Rochelle will follow up with Kriya after the call. Can you cut and paste that?
I already have.
Okay. All right, Judy from Medina. Hi, Judy. Judy's my aunt, by the way. Margot from Chandler, Arizona. I am there ready to take action. Thanks, Tim and Julie. You are welcome. Okay, Tim Blankenship. Okay, so guys, any other questions, any other comments, go ahead and put them in the webinar. It should be relatively straightforward. Oh, here's a good question from Don. Don, this is a good question, isn't it? How do I approach people I haven't spoken to in a long time? All right, so Don, I'm going to give you a little secret here. Ready for this? Julie, this is a secret. Are you sure? Can we really give this secret?
I know, this is top secret.
Okay. Don, they have not been keeping track. They have not been marking their calendars from the last time they talked to you. They don't remember the last time they talked to you. Did you hear that? Did you get that? You are using the excuse, Don, and I'm calling you out because you haven't contacted them in a long time. You're trying to use that as your excuse to not contact them now.
Or even longer.
And I promise you, they don't remember the last time you contacted them.
You might find some of them have moved. So what? Update your list.
That's right. And don't get frustrated if you find out that some of them have guys, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. All right, this story is about a guy named Leonard Kozine in Hawaii. All right, so you're going to understand why I'm telling you this story in a second. But it's such a good story. Now, Leonard was a coaching client. He was a graduate coaching client. So this is somebody that I'd have personal one-on-one coaching calls with for a little over a year. So Leonard, his only source of business, his main source of business came from farming. He basically would farm a particular geographic area. And I asked, and Leonard does quite well. He does quite well now. He's a very successful agent. You've never heard from him because he gets his business done, then he goes out and enjoys his life in lovely Hawaii. So Leonard, here's how he got his start. Ready for this? During the real estate crash in Hawaii in the 80s, remember that? What he did is he actually started a geographic farm offering to help underwater owners, offering to be of service to people that found themselves in situations on primary or second homes where they didn't know what to do. Now, here's what Leonard told me, which I thought was very interesting, and to this day I remember it, even though he told me this many, many years ago. He started doing this mailing to these particular areas and to these particular people in markets and little real estate communities that he always wanted to sell real estate that had been previously locked up by other realtors. You guys know the communities I'm talking about, realtors that have dominant market share. But here's the little secret. When the market turns like this, they stop marketing. When the market turns like this, for the most part, they hide because, whoever had dominant market share in a particular geographic area, they are all of a sudden blamed for the crash. This happens. It's crazy, but it's true. And so what Leonard did, while everyone else was basically hiding in their bomb shelter in the 80s in Hawaii, waiting for the real estate market correction to be over, he was aggressive. He started putting himself out there as someone who could help people when they were underwater in their homes, help people with their real estate problems. And to this day, think how many years ago that was, guys, 30 years ago. To this day, he's still getting paid from that initial mailing and the following subsequent mailings that he's done to that same geographic area. Again, you've never heard from this guy. You heard of this guy before, but he is a multimillionaire, all from having been bold, taking the actions that I'm describing to you now at a time when nobody else was. That is like now. That is exactly the opportunity that every single one of you have right now. Be bold. And remember, point number 4 we said at the start of this call. Don't be lazy. We're not going to be politically correct anymore at Harris Real Estate University and trying to avoid using the word lazy. Some of you are just lazy.
There's nothing wrong with you. I occasionally get these crazy free coaching calls, which I say with love. I say crazy because the student will come to the call. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't pick up the phone. I don't know what's wrong with me. I haven't called my past clients. There's nothing wrong with you guys. You have all your fingers and toes. You have a phone. You have a real estate license. There is nothing wrong with you. The only thing wrong with you could be laziness. That's curable by taking action.
That's right.
So don't go around, there's just I'm telephonally impaired. Okay.
When you're
not a condition.
When you buy into your own excuses, what happens is you rationalize being lazy, and then it becomes true. So what has happened with a lot of you is because you've allowed yourself to be lazy for this long period of time, and you've avoided learning and doing some of the very basic things that make all of us successful in any business. And it's what we've described today, making personal contact, offering to be of service. Because you've avoided that, you've now built up some sort of big resistance or some sort of big psychological issue with actually doing things like making personal contact. Guys, listen, from your real estate coach, stop being lazy. It's not that big of a deal. Just pick up the phone. Even if you're sweating bullets the first few phone calls, don't worry about it. Do it anyway.
It's normal to have a little bit of that feeling.
Yeah,
it's normal.
Guys, remember, you're offering to be of service. You're offering to save them money. You're offering to help them. Everybody's going to want to hear from you.
That's right. Okay, Don, who asked about calling someone after a long time, says, thanks, I got it, making about me, huh? So Don gets it. He has been cured and will be picking up the phone momentarily. All right. A lot of questions about cards. We got to that. Let's see. Let me refresh and see if there's any new questions here. I get a lot of comments. You guys are getting down to work. Let's see. We talked about where to get information on reassessing taxes. Raphael, someone from our office will call you regarding your question. And lots of good mornings. And I think that we have gotten to everyone. So homework assignment is to get to work on this. The holidays are fast approaching, so if you take a week to think about this, you're already going to be behind.
Marina, she says, Arlington, Virginia, I am lazy. Am I lazy or just lost? Lazy. Stop being lazy.
Just get to work. It's a lot easier, and you're going to go through the day anyway. Might as well get something done.
We have given you a simple, follow the step, do exactly this, say this, do that plan. There is zero risk of failure in this plan. Zero. You will not fail. This will generate 10 transactions for you if you're not lazy.
You only fail if you don't do it.
That's right. Guys, this is easy. Every single one of you can do this. And Maria, I know that your native language is not English. It doesn't matter. You cannot use that as an excuse.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
All right, good. So you guys know what you need to do. 100% of 100 cards, get 100 phone calls. And don't fall out of your chair when they say, yeah, I was just thinking about listing my house and so glad you called. Try not to pass out when that happens to you because it will happen only to those of you who actually do this project, okay? If you want to take it to the next level, add 20 door knocks to your best people on your list.
Don't take it to the next level.
I know.
Well, you guys, they'll take it to the next level. Exactly. They'll take it to the next level on their own. When you guys actually experience what's going to come from this,
you'll be addicted.
Exactly. You're going to be like, oh my God.
I'm going to have to talk you into it.
Totally. And then what's going to happen is those 100 people that you've started this relationship with, you're going to start contacting them on a regular basis. You're going to expand it. And then literally, guys, because you've shifted everything away from you and you've made it about whom you can help, how you can be of service, you are going to love it. You're going to feel it. You're going to all of a sudden be operating, thinking, and living on a different level. It really is that simple.
Well, you guys all know agents that seem to kind of live on referrals. They seem to live off their past clients. Those are few and far between, but the ones who have it figured out have been doing what we talked about on this call for years. So this is a good time to get into the habit. This is not just a one-time thing. This might be the first time you've done it, but we're going to talk about this time next year and this time the year after that. You know, this is how you get all of those incoming referrals. It is a major basic real estate spoke. When we're talking about spokes on the wheel, this is the number one for you to be working on, especially this time of year when nobody else is working and when your past clients and centers of influence do expect to hear from you.
And they're going to be taking time off. They're going to be watching the news. They're going to be reading the newspaper about the economy and the housing market. All of this stuff is going to be top of mind, and you're riding in on your white horse, basically, and you're offering to be of service and to help them money. This is perfect for every single one of you to do this. Please, please, please take this assignment seriously.
And do send us, my email is julie@harrisrealestateuniversity.com. Tim's is tim@harrisrealestateuniversity.com. Send us your success stories. I want to hear about it. When you're getting those calls going and somebody says, yeah, you know what, my next-door neighbor's been trying to sell their house on their own. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're for sale by owner. You need to go talk to them and help them out. Send us those, and maybe we'll feature some of those on the blog, realestateinsidernews.com. That way we can recognize you for all of your efforts and maybe get some other referrals coming to you via the blog. So feel free to share your success stories. We love reading those.
So on behalf of Julie and myself and all the faculty and staff at Harris Real Estate University, thank you for joining us for today's Superstar interview. You guys can put in feedback into the webinar of this interview, or you can obviously email me directly, tim@harrisrealestateuniversity.com. I know a lot of you really appreciated this call. Based on what I've been able to see from the comments, you're really getting motivated to take action, and I'm excited for you. Guys, this doesn't have to be a hard market for you. This can be the market literally that sets you up for life if you're willing to take action. I apologize if any of the words that we used during this call offended you. But if you were offended, chances are you were offended because what you're offended by is something that's true for you. Think about that for a second. So, guys, here's the bottom line. You are the inspiration. Elena said, Tim and Julie, thank you. You're an inspiration. You're the inspiration, Elena, when you take action, when you actually do something like this. At the end of the day, guys, the only thing that's going to turn our economy around is when every single one of us takes seriously our job of actually getting homes sold, of actually helping homeowners. Whether you believe it or not, or whether you've internalized this or not, this market is about being of service to others. Our economy is 100% dependent right now on turning the housing economy around, turning the housing market around. Washington, D.C., the banksters, nobody's going to make a hill of beans difference. We are the only solution. We have to take that seriously. The return of our economy starts and ends with each of us actually understanding that there's no higher and better purpose of all of us on this planet than being of service to others. So please take action on this. Please employ what we've asked you to do. If you need any help, request a free coaching call. Have a terrific weekend.